work, but if you're not getting the results that you want, chances are recovery is to blame. Stop banging your head against the wall. Start recovering instead. All right, what's going on, everybody? So we're going to get into recovery today, recovery 101. And I wanted to start here because most people are just piss poor at recovery. You're doing the work, okay, great. But if you're not getting the results that you want, which is most people, chances are recovery, your lack of recovery is to blame. There's also a high probability that you're doing exercises improperly, that your diet is off, and you've neglected to optimize other areas such as supplements. So those are all factors as well. This is an integrated approach. Resilience method is about integrating all of these aspects of a healthy system and getting in shape so that way you can actually get results and with the minimum amount of effort. So if you're putting in effort and you're not getting results, something is broken. You need to fix it. Stop banging your head against the wall. Start recovering instead. So I'm going to start this screen share, and here we go. We're going to get into it. Perfect. So like I said, most people are working, they're doing the work, and they're still not getting the results. So what are we going to do? We have our 4 pillars of the resilience method: training, nutrition, recovery, and mindset. Today's focusing in on recovery. Let's figure out how to compound the results from the effort that you're getting, right? Because if you're just focusing on the sets, focusing on the reps, focusing on the supplements, and tracking your sleep, just tracking everything and just working, grinding and hustling, that bound to break. You're going to burn out and you're going to just feel so gassed, so exhausted. And then you're going to fall off the bandwagon. And then months are going to go by. And then you're going to end up right back where you started after all of this effort in, because the system itself didn't have balance. So let's recover on the right. Recovery, restraint, margin, and rest. Wow, such unpopular terms in the fitness industry, but let me tell you, they are just as, if not more important than all the other stuff that we tend to harp on all day. So number one, you're going to get better gains. The muscle is not built in the gym, believe it or not. Muscle is built as you recover from the training stimulus that you sustained in the gym. There are adaptations, acute adaptations to exercise, and those create the cascade of effects that eventually lead to strength gains, muscle gains, performance gains, etc. And pieces of that cascade are obviously hormones. Your central nervous system has a huge regulatory role to play in the output that you're able to produce, and then the recovery process afterwards. And if you're not recovering, then both of those systems tend to get overstrained and eventually gas out. Additionally, stress and the cortisol response. If you're constantly providing stress stimuli in the form of not just training, but also just going through life, living first world lifestyle, emails to send, deadlines to meet, kids to pick up and drop off, and meals to make, and routines and trips to plan, your system never gets a break. And so you're constantly in the sympathetic fight or flight state, perform. And again, your system can't handle that forever. And if your results are lagging, it means that your body is down regulating as a survival technique. It just cannot handle the amount of strain. Even if these are all good things that you're doing, if it's out of balance and you're doing too many good things, it ends up having a negative outcome, negative impact. And so the last here, fewer injuries. And this is on the more physiological level. Not only do your hormones need to reset, not only does your nervous system need to recharge, not only does your parasympathetic system need to kick in and downshift out of sympathetic fight or flight mode, also your tissues and your physiological contractile fibers need to also chill out, because they're regulated by all the other things that I said. And so if you're constantly tense, constantly going, all those tissues, tendons, muscles, they don't get a break, and they strain and they strain and they get tenser and tenser until something breaks. So let's not do that. So adaptation lives on the rest day. Taking days off, but also just working recovery into your training days. We'll get into that in a little bit, in the different rhythms. We talked about hormone expression, CNS fatigue already, sympathetic. We basically covered this slide, but more specifically, testosterone, growth hormone, IGF-1, thyroid stimulating hormone, as well. Cortisol, we talked about. All the super important hormones that you want working in your favor require recovery, require time off. So how to do it? Well, there it is in a nutshell: restraint. restraint. God created the world in 6 days, and on the seventh day, he rested. So if the creator of the universe thought it prudent to take a day off, 1 out of 7, rather than just finishing on 6 and then getting straight into the week, then to the next week, then you can damn well bet that it's in our best interest to also take some time off. And don't wait until you need to take a break. That's, to me, the power of this word restraint. Don't wait until you need to take a break, because then it's too late. Take a break, even though you still feel good. That's what restraint means. It's intentionally holding back. If you hold back because you're broken, because your knee hurts, because your sleep was ass last night, that's not restraint. That's impairment. No. What we want is restraint. We want to take a break when we're feeling good, so that way we can keep feeling good and keep showing up to the game and bringing our best effort, our A game, day after day. Okay, let's add some margin into your day. So I am the worst. I'm the king of just packing my day to the brim. Absolutely. And I'm always like 2 to 3 minutes behind on everything, because even the times that I have in between sending an email, I'm firing off a message, I'm planning this or that, and all those systems that I mentioned before pay the price. And not only that, my brain starts to just run away from me. And then I'm scatterbrained and I'm not focused, and I'm always distracted by all the 5 other things that I want to be doing or that I need to do next. And it's exhausting, and it is counterproductive. You know this. Probably you need some leverage to actually allow you to live this out in a more real way. And that's a different conversation. Maybe we'll have a mindset conversation about how to actually get yourself to take the breaks that you know you need and want. But for now, we're just talking through more specifics. So adding margin throughout your day, but then also morning and evening are key times to start to incorporate some recovery habits and really set the tone for the day that you're about to live into in the case of the morning, and then the sleep that you're about to get in the case of the evening. So, few habits. I'm not going to go super in depth into any of these. That's not the point. The point here is just a brief overview as to what's possible and to get you to start doing something. Habit number 1, breath work. So I can't say enough good things about breath work. I've been doing it for a really long time, and I only more recently have started to really dive deep into, it's an entire art, really. As many ways as there are to work out and train, there are just as many ways to do breath work. Like, it's that involved, and it's that cool, and it's that powerful. But don't let that stop you, just in the same way that you shouldn't let not being a master in the gym stop you from training. Like, just to go do some push-ups, go do some air squats, and that's a great start. In the case of breath work, just notice your breath. Just try and take deep belly breaths. And I promise you, even if all you do is that, even if all you do is like take 5 breaths in between meetings or before a meeting or after a meeting, and just to kind of bring yourself back into the present and into an awareness of your breath and to deepen that breath, it's the impact starts to compound. That's number 1. Number 2, foam rolling. Foam rolling, I do every single morning without fail. I like to say that, tell people that whenever I go on vacation, say we're renting an Airbnb, as soon as I know the address for that Airbnb, I'll buy another foam roller, a new one, on Amazon, and send it to the place where I'm staying, so that when I'm on vacation, I can still get my foam rolling in. That's how much I love it. We got a video on how to foam roll. We'll link to that in the chat and in the description for this video, so you guys can check that out. 5 to 10 minutes is all you need. In fact, that's all you want. You don't want to spend too much time foam rolling, because that's counterproductive to tissue changes that we're trying to create. Number 3, meditation. So breathwork and meditation are distinct in that meditation is what happens. Breathwork is what prepares you for meditation. Breathwork has a physiological component, as breathing is physiological. Meditation is psychological, it's cognitive, it's ethereal. And that can be really hard to access because we spend so much time basically letting our brains run us all day. That meditation is almost impossible to achieve for most people. One of the main reasons why breathwork is so powerful, because it can bring you to a place of calmness where you can actually become the master of your mind instead of the other way around. Journaling. So we have the daily dozen. We have, I'd say that's the best place for somebody to start with journaling practice. Sleep hygiene. We'll get into some more specifics on that in a minute. And then sauna and cold plunge, they belong on here, even though I think that the way that most people use sauna and cold plunge actually is not recovery, in my opinion. If we're coming from the frame of restraint and down regulating the sympathetic nervous system and getting into more of a rest and digest state, most of the people that I see incorporating these habits are not in that state. They're forcing sauna and cold plunge, they're not present. I see so many people on their phones in the sauna, which makes, and like listening on their headphones, which makes, it's nutty. It makes absolutely no sense to me. I've even heard people like just joke about how many pairs of AirPods they go through because they're just sitting in the sauna, sweating profusely into their AirPods, and the things are getting fried because it's 180 degrees. So don't force it. If you're forcing it, it's not recovery. With the exception, even and foam rolling, even if it should be uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be so uncomfortable that you can't relax into it. That's the key. If it's so uncomfortable that you're just gritting your teeth just to get through it, that's not recovery. So check yourself in the sauna, check yourself in the cold plunge. If you're just trying to set a new PR for how much time you can be in the cold water, that's not recovery. So pack the truck up. How to fuck your recovery. So here's exactly what not to do. Alcohol. It's crazy to me that people still talk about like regular alcohol consumption, but whatever. I think I'm the one that's not normal. I think alcohol consumption, frequent and often excessive alcohol consumption, is the norm. But if you care at all about your health, and certainly if you care at all about your gains, alcohol will fuck you. And you know this already. It's poison. There's no way around it. It's poison. Even one drink. If you track your sleep, to me, that's the most compelling evidence towards this fact, because you can totally tell. You could go to bed the exact right time. Everything else could be on point. And even just one glass of wine or one beer will completely just derail your sleep quality. So just ask yourself if it's really worth it. Number two, inconsistent sleep, going to sleep at different times. I think there is some truth to the idea that different people have different chronotypes, or they prefer different sleep windows. But whatever your sleep window is, keep it consistent. Eating too close to bed. Also, your body doesn't want to be digesting a big meal as you're trying to sleep, because it doesn't allow deep sleep to happen. And deep sleep is where most of the recovery happens. And it's also, that's the phase that takes place within the first few hours of your night of sleep. If you've ever looked at a graph, all the deep sleep tends to be front loaded towards the first 30% of your sleep. And then the last 2/3 is more REM sleep cycles that you get into. If you ever notice, like your dreams, you tend to dream more. You remember, like right before you wake up, like that last hour or two of sleep, those are where most of your dreams happen, because dreams happen in REM sleep. They're done in deep sleep. Everything is shut down in deep sleep. Theta waves, baby. Blue light at night fucks your recovery as well, because it blocks melatonin production. And melatonin is a huge regulatory hormone that regulates the amount of rest and recovery that you get during sleep. Blue light convinces your brain into thinking it's actually the daytime. And so it will impair melatonin production because it thinks it's the day. We don't need melatonin. We don't need to sleep during the middle of the day. Finally, overtraining. I heard this a ton in the past, and I would just shrug it off and be like, oh, come on. Like, how you'd have to be seriously overtraining, like training way too hard, way too long. Overtraining happens faster than you think. So don't think that you're helping your case by doing double sessions, doing strength training, and then staying for an extra 45 minutes on the Stairmaster, skipping meals like before or after a workout. All these things that seem like they'd be beneficial in the short term really mess you up in the long term. Okay, so now the when, I'm breaking this down into 3 sections. You got morning, throughout the day, and then evening. So morning, we talked about a lot of these habits already. Don't get too lost in the idea of the stack. Build your own stack and start with just one thing. The best habit, the best stack is the one that you can do consistently. So these are all some ideas. They all help. Sun and face, feet on grass, breath work, hydrate before caffeine, go for a quick walk before work, foam rolling we talked about. These are all fantastic. And I do all of them actually every day, but I didn't start there. Started with just meditation and some reflective, some intention setting journaling for the morning. That was like way back in the day. That was what I started doing first. And over time, I built and I adapted and I tried different things and I swapped things out in and out. I found what worked best for me. And I encourage you to do the same. Throughout the day, these are more of adding in that margin that we talked about earlier, just taking some recovery breaths. Just like that. It can be that simple. Going for a walk, 10 minutes. 10 minutes is maximally effective. And if you can do 20 or 30, icing on the cake. Sun and face, it just makes you happy. Vitamin D, evening. So here's some of the sleep hygiene things that I alluded to earlier. The red light thing, I'm actually kind of surprised. It really does make a difference. I was skeptical. My wife was all about it. And so she bought red light bulbs to put in certain light fixtures in our house. So that way at night, we could have like the lights that we would have would be very calming and help to spur melatonin production. And it feels really good. Candlelight is great, right? Like back in the day, this was the only option. We only had red light sources to light our homes with. Now, we have fluorescent lights. We have like people fall asleep with the TV on, which is again bananas. Dude, get the TV out of your room, please. Out of the bedroom. Red light before night. Screen detox. Yep, just talked about that. At the very least, wear some glasses or put the night shift filter on your phone, and try to stop eating at least a couple hours before your head hits the pillow. It will make a huge difference, trust me. We like to glorify the hustle, we like to glorify the grind. Consider that the real work is actually recovering, is actually taking a step back. It's actually intentionally choosing not to hustle harder, but giving your body a chance to catch up with you. Hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week.